Hey traders, Mike Katz here with today's trader takeaways. What a crazy day. Some pretty serious action going on in a few different symbols. And let's get right to the action. So obviously everyone's looking at this RKDA and pre-market. It had the feel like it was going to be the next Elfin. We were talking about it on the desk and it had the right feel, and we'll talk about the different ingredients that were there that allowed it to be potentially the next big mover. So Elfin, RKDA, RKDA, wild biotech stock that had this really big move a few days ago. And if we can just focus in on the action preceding today, we can see that, you have a stock that had this really big move, typical low floater move, right? Went from 5 to 11. Next day opens unch and then goes to 19 and closes at 13. So that's going to get a lot of the shorts interested. Looks like the backside is in, way off the highs. And what does it do the next day? It gives a nice gap. And most traders, take that as a gift and say, hey, this is trash. Let me see if I can short it. And then puts in a nice big red day and has a $3 bar, closes near the lows, and all the shorts are like, yes, this is going back to $7, $8, and the ones who are waiting for the backside are in. Well, that for the most part, that's the way to do it. It's just that on a day like today, this one had a very small float. Some indications showed that it was a half a million. Other places I saw it was 1.5 million. Either way, a really small float that, if anybody wants to corner the shares available, they can easily go out there. Somebody with a few $1 million in their account can buy a big chunk of this and not sell. And that would squeeze the shorts, right? So what do we have today? Boom. Unbelievable move. Pre-market, massive gap. Starts to go pre-market and then wow, right? Starts off at 17 and now it goes to 55. So the ingredients were there for this potentially being one of those major squeezers. And let's see if we can go over the trades here. I started in pre-market. Did I start in pre-market? I did not. I did not. I waited till the open, but I was watching this pre-market and it felt like it's going up. You could see that every time it pulled back, it was a tiny pullback here, goes higher, flags well, higher low versus here, and then takes off again into the open. So that to me says, all right, everybody who shorted yesterday and the day before thinking that this is toppy, they're going to be hurting quite a bit. So that gets them to scramble. Longs come in, long momentum traders come in, shorts cover, and there's a vacuum, huge move up. And that's what we got. So I was basically thinking to myself, where are some spots that I can get involved on the long side in a responsible manner where I'm not risking too much and I can potentially put myself into a bigger position if it starts to work. And that was my idea here. It went up around the open, starts to flag, goes up again, and pulls back. And when it pulls back, we can see that. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit. You can see that it's pulling back. So it double topped here. So here on this pullback, I'm thinking if it wants to make a higher low, then I'm going to try to kind of anticipate it making a higher low versus here. If it fails and goes lower, I'm out. But if it wants to make that higher low, that's a good way for me to get a starter position in. Nothing too big, just to see if I'm on the right side of the trade and if the thesis is going to play out. Is the price action going to confirm the thesis? So I buy some here versus here, and it starts to work pretty quickly. Comes back, holds $20. Now that's the other ingredient here, right? The other component is that $20. It's a big figure, and it spends time above $20. So that's kind of support. So that's another reason why I wanted to be involved. So it comes back, retests, and goes higher. Beautiful. Gives a nice push into 25. I take some off into 25, about half, And now I've got a little bit locked in and a nice cushion to be able to buy the next dip into support. And you guys can see the support here. And I'm able to get bigger here now because I was able to lock some in. Now I can buy some on the dip versus here and get bigger. And that's exactly what I was able to do. And then basically I was thinking there's going to be another push up. Sold some into that. A little bit debatable here. I could have done a better job seeing. The whole time I'm thinking this is a 30 magnet. It's going to 30, and that's up here. But I still took some off here thinking I'll buy back some on the next dip over here. And I had bids out at 25. Didn't get hit. And it just kept going higher. So I took some more off here and then started halting and halting and halting. And I had a small piece remaining, at which point I said when it starts to look like the backside is in, I'll get out. And I was really not interested on the short side because it's just the way it felt, right? So basically it started halting to the downside. When I saw that halting to the downside and it took 10 minutes to reopen instead of 5, I kind of got a little bit, I wouldn't say nervous, but because I didn't have a big position left. But I just wasn't happy with that, and I said, okay, this is probably done. So I got out when it resumed. I think I might have sold a little bit extra, at which point I covered that quickly, and I was done with it. I figured, you know what, at this point, I probably want to be done. I was telling the guys that new traders should be very careful with this. Experienced traders can, trade it, but, be prepared for this thing to keep halting and potentially go to 100 or back to 5. Anything's possible. So that's what was in the back of my head. I was able to capitalize on that. And then it started looking like the backside's in, went higher. I didn't do much else. And then it looked like nice lower high, double bottom. So I figured, you know what, let me start in with some. Let me get some more bars in here. And started in, add as it works a little bit, just thin stock, so it takes a few different fills to get in. Added some more here when it's proved that it's going to break 38 and make that lower low, lower high. And this was a surprise, the fact that it was holding here. And I remember I had Elizabeth sitting next to me, one of the new trainees, and I was telling her, I expect a lot more downside here. This should have cracked wide open by now. And it kind of felt like it wasn't really panic out where the longs wanted to be out. So I wasn't happy with what I was seeing here, which kind of held me back from sizing. I had a okay size here, and I moved my stop to here, 42 and change, above 42. Came pretty close to stopping me out, and afterwards when it started curling down, I tried to get some more size here. I couldn't get any fills. Comes down, I cover some down here, and now I'm kind of thinking this could potentially be a nice descending triangle. This could be where one of those that goes back the same day rallies. So long story short, I sized in here, sized in more here, and it wasn't feeling good. I wasn't liking it, and at this point it's taking too long to go back down. And then here I had one, let's see, I basically had one more, add near my stop, and when it couldn't hold 42 again, I took everything off, between 42 and 43. And I was done with it. And then I kind of said, you know what, I gave back quite a bit actually. And it was a nice win on the long side, made a little bit on the short side, and then gave back decent amount on the short side. So I was done with it. I didn't want to give back any more. And then it had a nice rip to 50 and above. So long story short, this thing is nuts. Had a big move. I don't know what this does. No clue. It's holding up. Can this thing squeeze and then potentially gap down tomorrow? Very possible. But with this thing, anything is possible, and I'm not going to discount that. So I did spend a lot of time going over this, so we'll make it quick. I want talk too much about the other stocks I had in mind, but spiders, let's mention that. Another down day, another day with about a $3 range so far. That was pretty good, and I was able to trade that pretty actively again. And yeah, let's look at the spies. Let's see how the fills look there. On the spies, started on a short, trading around a core, covered some, reshorted, and then got stopped out. Took it off as it looked like it was going to go back up. Tried it on the long side, failed, and then from this point on, I was looking on the short side, and that started working. Decent size, stops being pretty close, especially right here versus here, and with these lower highs, and then boom, re-add back. A little early cover here, but it's fine. Still had a big position, covered more, resize back, cover more, and then added back here thinking there was going to be more downside, and then when it took out this high, boom, took it all off, and then it's been chopped ever since. So not a bad day in the spies as well. Overall, I'll take it, and I'm pretty much done. So got like about 20 minutes to go here, and the key was today was stay nimble, respect the risk. These stocks that are moving, they can move a lot, and don't underestimate what these things can do. So finishing the day nicely, gave back some off of my highest P&L, but was able to say I'm done, take what I can, and move on. That's pretty much it. So thank you guys for watching. Good luck trading, and hopefully next couple of days, I think a couple of the other guys will be back, and they'll pick up where we left off. Thank you guys.